Welcome. Learn about Japan. Japan is an island country located in East Asia. It is bordered by the Sea of Japan to the west and the Pacific Ocean to the east, and spans more than 3,000 kilometers along the coast of the continent from the Sea of Okhotsk in the north to the East China Sea and Philippine Sea in the south. Part of the Pacific Ring of Fire, Japan encompasses a stratovolcanic archipelago of about 6,852 islands, with 5 main islands, comprising 97% of the country's total area of 377,975 square kilometers. Japan is officially divided into 47 prefectures and traditionally into 8 regions. Approximately 2/3 of the country's terrain is mountainous and heavily forested, and less than 1/8 of land is suitable for agriculture. Consequently, Japan is among the most densely populated and urbanized countries in the world, with over 90% of its population living in urban areas. The largest of these is the metropolitan area centered on the capital city of Tokyo, which is the most populous in the world and home to more than 38 million people. Japan itself is the world's 11th most populous country with a population of 126.2 million, of which 97.8% are ethnically Japanese. The kanji that make up the name of Japan in the Japanese language mean sun origin. In the Western world, the country is often known by the sobriquet Land of the Rising Sun. Periods of influence from other regions, primarily China, followed by periods of isolation, particularly from Western Europe, have characterized the history of Japan. While archaeological evidence indicates that Japan was inhabited as early as the Upper Paleolithic period, the first written mention of the archipelago appears in Chinese texts from the 1st century AD. Between the 4th and 9th centuries, the kingdoms of Japan became gradually unified under an emperor and imperial court based in Heian-kyo. However, beginning in the 12th century, de facto political power came to be held by a succession of military dictators and feudal lords and enforced by a class of warrior nobility known as samurai. After a century-long period of civil war, Japan was reunified in 1603 under the rule of the Tokugawa shogunate, which established a government in Edo and enacted a policy of isolationism. This period ended in 1853 when a United States fleet forced Japan to open to the west, leading to the fall of the shogunate and the restoration of imperial power in 1868. In the following Meiji era, Japan adopted a Western-style government and pursued a program of industrialization and modernization. This transformed the feudal society into a great power, with Japan establishing a colonial empire in East Asia after decisive victories in the First Sino-Japanese War and Russo-Japanese War. In 1937, the Empire of Japan invaded China, beginning the Second Sino-Japanese War. In 1940, it signed the Tripartite Pact and entered World War II the following year on the side of the Axis powers. After suffering major defeats in the Pacific and 2 atomic bombings, Japan surrendered to the Allies in 1945, coming under a brief occupation and adopting a new post-war constitution. Japan has since maintained a unitary parliamentary constitutional monarchy with the emperor as a ceremonial head of state and an elected legislature known as the National Diet. Today, Japan is a member of numerous international institutions, including the United Nations, the OECD, the G7, and the G20. Although it has officially renounced its right to declare war, Japan maintains a modern military for peacekeeping and self-defense, which has been ranked as the world's 4th most powerful. Following World War II, Japan experienced record economic growth, recovering from the war to become the world's 2nd largest economy by 1980. Today, Japan's economy is the world's 3rd largest by nominal GDP and 4th largest by purchasing power parity. It is also the 4th largest importer and exporter and a global leader in the automotive and electronics industries. Japan is ranked very high on the Human Development Index, Its population enjoys high levels of education and the second highest life expectancy in the world, though it currently is experiencing a projected decline due to low birth rates. Culturally, Japan is globally renowned for its art, cuisine, literature, cinema, music, and popular culture, including its prominent comics, animation, and video game industries. Etymology. The Japanese word for Japan is, which is pronounced Nihon or Nippon, and literally means the origin of the sun. The character Nichi means sun or day, Han means base or origin. The compound therefore means origin of the sun and is the source of the popular Western epithet land of the rising sun. Geography. Japan has a total of 6,852 islands extending along the Pacific coast. It is over 3,000 kilometers long from the Sea of Okhotsk to the Philippine Sea in the Pacific Ocean. The country, including all of the islands it controls, lies between latitudes 24 degrees and 46 degrees north, and longitudes 122 degrees and 146 degrees east. The 5 main islands, from north to south, are Hokkaido, Honshu, Shikoku, Kyushu and Okinawa. The Ryukyu Islands, which include Okinawa, are a chain to the south of Kyushu. The Nanko Islands are south and east of the main islands of Japan. Together, they are often known as the Japanese archipelago. As of 2019, Japan's territory is 377,975.24 square kilometers. Japan is the 4th largest island country in the world and the largest island country in East Asia. Japan has the 6th longest coastline in the world. It does not have land borders. Due to its many far-flung outlying islands, Japan has the 8th largest exclusive economic zone in the world, covering 4,470,000 square kilometers. About 73% of Japan is forested, mountainous, and unsuitable for agricultural, industrial, or residential use. As a result, the habitable zones, mainly located in coastal areas, have extremely high population densities. Japan is one of the most densely populated countries in the world. Japan is a member of both the G7 and the G20. Japan maintains one of the largest military budgets of any country in the world. The country's military is restricted by Article 9 of the Japanese Constitution, which renounces Japan's right to declare war or use military force in international disputes. Accordingly, Japan's Self-Defense Forces is an unusual military that has never fired shots outside Japan. Japan is the highest-ranked Asian country in the Global Peace Index. A Credit Suisse survey published in 2015 ranked Japan as the world's 4th most powerful conventional military behind the United States, Russia, and China. Japan has a large industrial capacity and is home to some of the largest and most technologically advanced producers of motor vehicles, electronics, machine tools, steel and non-ferrous metals, ships, chemical substances, textiles, and processed foods. Agricultural businesses in Japan cultivate 13% of Japan's land, and Japan accounts for nearly 15% of the global fish catch, second only to China. As of 2016, Japan's labor force consisted of some 65.9 million workers. Japan has a low unemployment rate of around 4%. Some 20 million people, around 17% of the population, were below the poverty line in 2007. Housing in Japan is characterized by limited land supply in urban areas. Japan's main export markets were the United States, China, South Korea, Hong Kong, and Thailand. Its main exports are transportation equipment, motor vehicles, iron and steel products, semiconductors, and auto parts. Japan's main import markets as of 2015 were China, the United States, Australia, and South Korea. Japan is the third largest maker of automobiles in the world. The Japanese electronics and automotive manufacturing industry is well known throughout the world, and the country's electronic and automotive products account for a large share in the global market, compared to a majority of other countries. Brands such as Fujifilm, Canon, Sony, Nintendo, Panasonic, Toyota, Nissan, and Honda are internationally famous. It is estimated that 16% of the world's gold and 22% of the world's silver is contained in Japanese electronics. The Greater Tokyo area is ranked as the most populous metropolitan area in the world. Japan is the second most populous island country with a population of 126.3 million. 124.8 million are Japanese nationals. Honshu is the world's second most populous island, and it has 80% of Japan's population. Due to the rugged and mountainous terrain with 66% forest, the population is clustered in urban areas on the coast, plains, and valleys. Japan is an urban society with only 5% of the labor force working in agriculture. About 80 million of the urban population is heavily concentrated on the Pacific coast of Honshu. In 2010, 90.7% of the total Japanese population lived in cities. The capital city Tokyo has a population of 13.8 million. It is part of the Greater Tokyo area, the biggest metropolitan area in the world with 38,140,000 people. The area is 13,500 square kilometers, and the metro area has a population density of 2,642/km2. Thank you for watching this video. Goodbye.